that AI will help you, and not will help you at the end of the deal, because we know that the impact that the sales team has on the last mile of the deal is minimal. On how to prepare the deal, how to navigate, etc., how to talk to the right personas with the right ICPs, etc. So for the moment, it's quite granular into evaluating the ICP, seeing if the personas, preparing the follow-up emails, etc., etc. But in the future, it's going to be
podcast with Jonathan Moss and Coach K. Tune in now, don't delay. Catch the future on
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It is I, Jonathan Carford, aka Coach K. This is GTM AI Podcast, and I am so excited to have my man here. We just connected just barely recently via Pavilion and other locations, had a good chat before, and finally got him on the podcast. Sami Rejeb, the CEO of Value and founder. How are you, sir?
good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So as a quick kind of background on you, because I know you're going to give me a little bit of stuff, so I just know a little bit more about you and what you've gone through. You were before Executive Director of Insight and Customer Strategy at Oracle for several years, Head of Sales Strategy and Business Operations in the Nordics for Salesforce, and now obviously ValueOrbit. And I know you have just a breadth of experience and knowledge that I can't wait to tap into. But before we get into the topic, your company and AI and all that other good stuff, I want to know a little bit more about you. So if you don't mind, share with the audience and myself a little bit more about you. That's how I like to say is the non-LinkedIn, non-resume version of Sami, your background, where you came from, and why are you doing what you're doing now with AI and ValueOrbit? Give me the scoop.
So thank you again for having me, Sami. I have more than 20 years experience in revenue management. I've worked as a CRM consultant for KPMG and then customer care director for mobile operator, and then head of value selling for Oracle and EMEA, and also managing RevOps for Salesforce in the Nordics. Quite a broad experience. And just to answer the question is what brought me to AI is the issue that all the revenue leaders are facing in terms of how can I make the CRM add value to me, automate my work, and help me to succeed. So this is the mission I've had for 20 years, and I'm trying to now at least do my part to make life easier for the revenue leaders and the revenue teams.
Nice. And so for most people not familiar, where are you from originally?
So I'm originally from Tunisia. I'm also Canadian. So I spent half of my life in Canada and also Swedish. So 3 nationalities. I've been everywhere. I'm the citizen of the world.
Citizen of the world. I love it. So having worked at Oracle and Salesforce, now doing your own, I'm assuming you're experiencing things in a different way now that you're not in your own startup versus a massive organization like Oracle and Salesforce. Is that a fair statement to say?
Yes, because the maturity are not the same. It's not the same, sorry. There is no, the level of sophistication is not the same. So if you compare Salesforce is very sophisticated in terms of revenue execution and strategy, sales strategy in general. But on the other side, I think it's a different spectrum with more agility because of the size of the startups.
Yeah, I've been in both worlds myself, being Fortune 1000, Fortune 500 companies, and then in startups for the last 5 years. It's definitely a different world, but they're both fun. It's just in different ways, in my opinion. So tell me, I know you kind of gave a little bit of context before, but obviously working at Oracle and Salesforce, you probably could have done a lot of different things with larger organizations because you have all that experience. Why go this route of ValueOrbit? And then tell me more about what problems did you see and why did you want to start a company with it?
So spent 10 years at Oracle and almost 3 years at Salesforce. During the 13 years, the challenge I've had with myself and with my team is around what is the deal that I need to work on? Should I forecast it or not? What I should do next? So these are the 3, I think, most important questions that are related to my success and the success of my team.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to solve it the right way with the CRM. So I've built layers of playbooks and knowledge, methodologies and stuff on top of it. And then I came up with the AI came and it opened a lot of opportunities. I saw it with some of the bright minds in AI. And then we brainstormed about how can AI really help into making sales successful, sales teams and sales leaders, and guide
Mhm.
them.
I love it. So I know this world of AI is giving people different capabilities now they haven't had before. Would you put yourself in a category, or I'm just curious of like, how would you describe it to someone of saying, hey, what else, who is like you? Who would you say is competitors or a category?
So I think that my main competitor is Gong, but do I fit in one category? I'm not sure. So I'm in the probably revenue intelligence space, but I cover multiple aspects. So I cover from the kind of deal generation to the closing to the forecasting, and also covering the conversational intelligence part.
So when I hear, and I'm going to say this because I've been a Gong user for years and years, and I've also worked with other startups who are in similar veins, but the angle for me with you obviously is more kind of RevOps focus, which is not a bad thing. Whereas others are like directly taking on Gong, just doing another more in-depth AI version of what Gong does, which is because Gong started more as a video library and then added all their features on top of it. Whereas yours doesn't seem like you're starting with the video library. It seems like you're more starting with the process. And
Exactly.
how do you complement that versus just having videos? Is that accurate to say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So starting with the process, how can we create the best process? How can we adapt the best process? How can we automate the best process? How can we bring all the revenue operations capabilities to the process? So it's evolving for one reason. What is the opportunity? The opportunity is around that the AI models and capabilities are evolving a lot
Mhm.
in terms of results. Even that Gong, for example, invested heavily in their models, I think we're able to achieve a better result by adopting in a very agile way the latest technologies in terms of AI. And as I said, it's evolving, architecture is evolving, the RAG is evolving, everything is evolving. So what we're trying to do is to focus, as you said, to focus on the process and to say, how can we really help the sales team to first have the right process, second, to automate the process, because nobody wants to update the CRM. Nobody wants to spend the time in manual work. So basically, the success of ValueOrbit is really related to the level of automation, simplicity, and also the depth of insights that can help revenue teams. And let's focus here on the sales teams to be successful, independently from the size, from 2 sales to 200 sales.
Got it. Okay. So question would be then, because there's a lot of CRM automation tools out there. I mean, I've worked with a few as well. What would you say is the difference with yours, besides obviously CRM automation? What's your sweet spot that you feel like you're stronger in?
Yes. The difference I think with the other platforms, I know that the competition is quite rude, and I think it's great because it brings a lot of ideas and a lot of sophistication in the market. The
Mhm.
difference is that I leverage my experience and the experience of my teams, and I have quite senior sales leaders with me into bringing real success to the revenue teams. So probably some few of the competitors are growing faster than me, but on my side, I'm growing in a very solid way where I think 100% of my customers are quite happy because we don't throw a tool and run away. We just help the revenue teams end to end to implement the capabilities and also to train them, to coach them on the success. And this is, I think it brings
Nice.
also a lot of practical, let's say, since that the technology is evolving a lot, it's very important to be involved in the implementation of the technology to first, to prove what you're doing. And second is to also evaluate what's working, what's not working. And we see it every day. OpenAI, I think, releases new features every month and the other models.
Yeah. So what do you think? I'm curious then, because of OpenAI and other things coming out, what's it called? Their sales agent was
The deep search.
teased, not the deep search. I love deep search. They teased a new release of a sales agent in Japan
Operator.
last week. non-operator. Did you see the new sales agent they were teasing in Japan?
I know, not yet.
It's more it's not doing what you're doing, by the way, but it's more of the lane of an AI SDR. So it's more like gathering information and communicating and then booking deals and that kind of stuff. But it wouldn't surprise me if OpenAI starts to lean into any part of the sales process with this whole thing. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it was Sam and his team was in Japan, and then they teased this new product of a sales agent release, and it leaked. And so everyone has been talking about it. But then you bring up things like you have tasks, you have the deep research, you have operator. Just with OpenAI, they have all the things that Google's coming out with, like their own deep research, and you have DeepSeek is going like crazy. You have all these different models coming out. So curious, as these start to develop more and more, as a founder, what are you doubling down on from a capability point of view that like the models just won't be able to do?
I think it's on the real knowledge of the domain. So as I said, I've been managing sales. And I think with my team, we combine probably 60, 70 years of sales management, and also combining them with the experience, even that if it's a 6 months or a year experience that we're learning with the new technologies. Because the problem is let's take the example of OpenAI. OpenAI has been around now for more than probably 2-3 years, and they've been extremely successful in terms of penetration, but we don't see any big value in terms of workflow automation, integrated processes for the sales teams. So I think what I can bring is, as I said, is the intersection of technology, of people and process to make the change happen. And as I said, I've been contacted by a lot of investors. I'm not looking to grow in a tremendous way, but what I'm looking is making sure that every customer I have is happy with the combination and evolving with us. So it's a different mantra than the other startups.
What do you feel like are the possibilities of capabilities of AI that you wanting? What are you wanting to do? I know I don't want to have you unveil your product roadmap that's proprietary. I'm just curious, what are you excited about with AI that you're wanting to think about putting into your tech?
I think it's very simple, is the guessing on or forecasting or on what you need to do to make your number and make it happen for you. So basically, if it's the meeting, if it's the email, if it's the call that will make you successful and will make you have an accurate forecast, delivering on your target, that AI will help you. And not will help you at the end of the deal, because we know that the impact that the sales team has on the last mile of the deal is minimal, on how to prepare the deal, how to navigate, etc., how to talk to the right personas with the right ICPs, etc. So for the moment, it's quite granular into evaluating the ICP, seeing if the personas, preparing the follow-up emails, etc., etc. But in the future, it's going to be, everything will be transparent for the sales. But I hope that we will not miss, or we will rely on this human touch and all these non-technical soft skills to help us to close the deals. Because, yeah, even that we say that everything will be automated, most likely a little bit of humanity will remain in the process.
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that's good. So let me ask you, I'm going to go a little bit down a different path for a second, because I'm just curious on your thoughts on a few things. So there's a conversation happening right now around Salesforce. And I know I'm asking this because obviously you used to work there, but mostly because of your tech and what you're thinking. The original purpose of a CRM of any kind was to be able to capture information so the team could understand what the world was going on inside of deals and the customers and all that other stuff. AI is getting to the point where it can do most of that stuff. To me, an ideal interface is one where it's auto-populated with AI based on some really accurate results from whatever conversations, emails, tickets, whatever the case might be. And then the human can put in their own notes based on their relationship or thoughts or any communication that happens outside of the digital world. But in theory, you know this already, Salesforce came out with Agentforce last October or whatever it was, they came out with it, September. And they're starting to shift a little bit. Like in my mind, I'm seeing a world where their old model of CRM is not as relevant. And I'm not saying people can just flip a switch and get off of Salesforce, but there's a possibility that someone could essentially use a data bank or somewhere else besides a CRM, use RAG or other AI technologies to be able to access the information and be able to leave a Salesforce CRM, which in the past would be insane to do, but now it's like an actual reality. Do you see a world where people could, again, for large organizations, this is not an easy, just rip it out and go, but is there a possibility where someone could build out their own AI systems to capture what they need to have that wouldn't require like a major CRM?
Yes. Yes, it's going to come sooner or later. Salesforce has been a fantastic tool for a very long time. The team, and I've been part of the team, is amazing. They're building good capabilities.
Yeah.
The only complexity is when you have millions of users in the world, it's very difficult to evolve quickly because you have to adapt all the innovation, the changes to the million users.
Right.
And with different products, different technologies, different integration. But what they're doing is amazing. But in general, and it's very difficult for a big organization, independently of the name, Microsoft, Salesforce, etc., to beat the agility of a startup in terms of starting from scratch. And for this reason, on ValueOrbit, we went into different paths. So we integrate to the major CRMs as a revenue intelligence, Salesforce, Spot, Pipedrive, and now we're Microsoft partner soon in the marketplace. But also we developed our own CRM, and it was against, I think, all the expert advices into not getting into the Red Sea. But I profoundly believe that CRM will radically change in the way we see it, and it will evolve. I think it will evolve dramatically in the next 2 years maximum.
Yeah. For me, tools like yourself or others like you, but like the ones that are able to capture the information, be able to put it in a sensible way that can then be accessed or categorized or somehow on the other side, are a key component of that future, in my opinion. Is that a world where you see yourself going, as to where it becomes like a feeder into someone's own unique data bank of whatever kind it might be?
Yes, it can be. It can be. And if we talk about the sales process, the forecasting process, the GTM strategy, there are a lot of, let's say, best practices, a lot of tools, a lot of automation. AI, as you said, is getting involved everywhere. But the secret sauce of combining all of them together in a unique way, I think, will differentiate winners from the losers. Because at the same time, you want to know what you do in your deal. At the same time, you want to know what you're doing in your go-to-market strategy. What's the best strategy to execute? And even myself, when I started, the goal was to have the best forecasting tool that is based out of the sales methodologies. And I try to automate MEDPIC and MEDIC in the best way possible with AI. And now Spice winning by design is picking up a lot. But nowadays customers are looking for not implementing a special sauce, getting inspired by having their own process, their own methodology,
Their own thing.
own go-to-market, their own KPIs in a very simple way.
Yeah. In that same thought, I'm going to take it one step further. With AI, I've realized over the last 2 years, I've been in AI now for 5 and really been deep diving into go-to-market AI over the last couple of years. And I'm realizing more and more that there's 2 different sides of it. One is the side where you take your current process and you can speed it up, accelerate it, make it better, whatever you want to do. And then AI also gives the ability to rethink how you're doing everything, so that instead of doing things faster the old way, you're rethinking the process to a new way based on the job to be done. Does that make sense? So I'm curious, like when you're consulting people and talking to people about all the things you're talking about, how do you help implementing your tool? How do you help them decide between, do we speed up what we used to do or the old sales process, or do we rethink the entire thing now based on the capabilities of AI? How do you walk someone through that?
I'm for challenging the statu quo to make a difference. I will always question the current process, see what are the weaknesses in the process, and then come up with quick wins in terms of adjustment of the process, methodology, KPIs, execution, forecasting, etc. I think there is no point to just, and this is the purpose of most of the tools, is I'll give you a tool and you figure out on how to use it. And this recipe has been failing for ages. So yeah, for me is that
Right.
I don't have any customer who really went for automating the same process, is always looking at what are the challenges, where is the manual work, where is the gap in the skills and the process, etc., and what's the best way. And as I said, what I like about AI is when I've done thousands of forecast calls in my life. So I used to do probably 20 hours per week of forecast calls.
Right.
So I'm able to read the pipeline quite well. And myself, I have a very good accuracy in forecasting. I know exactly.
Right.
But the thing is, most of the organization, they don't have it. And what I like about AI is that you don't have to ask 100 questions and present 100 numbers to come up to what is required to make them improve or maximize the chance of achieving your target. So this is what I like about it. And one also, I think one important point is that there is a huge gap between the AI capabilities and how revenue teams are executing on the day-to-day. So still working with revenue teams that will go every week, ask about 100 questions about the deals, get the answers, ask the same question again and again, getting answers that do not really change the course or course correct the deal. So it's more a control process rather than an enablement, improving the way to do. So there is a huge gap in terms of what the technology is doing and how sales leaders are operating on a day-to-day. And this is why I see this gap in the market to combine the AI capabilities, but also with real expertise in terms of how you manage your sales, your to-market, etc.
So with that gap, is it as simple as, I shouldn't say simple because I know it's more complex than I realized, but is it as simple as making sure things are just automated into the CRM, or what's your opinion of what needs to be done to fix the gap?
I think the CRM will stay as the system of record. And this is, I think, also my competitors and colleagues, we agree on this.
Right.
And will evolve. But at the same time, some of the stuff will be done outside the CRM. And depending on the customer will, I think the integration could be mandatory just to keep the records of the CRM.
Right.
As I said, until change will happen and we will have complete new generation of CRM that will disrupt the whole
thing.
The current CRM leaders.
Last question for you. Of all the data that someone can grab based with AI out of customer conversations, everything else, what's the kind that you continually are like just over and over going, this is crazy, we can even do this? What's the kind that you think is the most effective or most powerful?
In terms of data, I think it's always so two kinds of data. The first is related to the activities. So in terms of deal activities, what's the next step that will make the change? And this is based on tons of data that you have in your deals and your conversations and your methodology and so that's the most important, I think, one. The second is that also in terms of go to market, in terms of how your execution is really aligned with your ICP and with your personas, and are they evolving over time, and how should you adapt to them, to the new reality, and having this feeding your forecast so you see it at any time if you're going to make it or not. And what should you do? So the prescriptive, what do to make it.
What should you do about it? That's right. Sami, I love this conversation. I can probably deep dive. I have all these thoughts I want to deep dive, but we sadly don't have the time to go into it. But I just want to make sure, well, I appreciate you. Your website is ValueOrbit or ORBIT.com. You have lots of cool things going on. I was just, before we were talking, I was nerding out on your coaching module, because I'm obviously a sales coach fan. But I always like to see what people are doing there. So you have really cool capabilities coming out, and I love it. But I also love the change in human side of it, making sure you have that consultancy part, which is, I think, pretty powerful. So what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you if you want to talk to you?
I think I can be contacted on my LinkedIn and by email, sami.rejeb@valueorbit.com.
Cool. Sami, appreciate you so much. I'll make sure we have all the links in the show notes. So if people want to get in touch with you, they can find you obviously through the show notes, or just obviously go to your website. But just want to say thank you. I love what you're doing. I can't wait to see what the next thing is for you as we come this next year.
Thank you for inviting me.
And of course.
Thanks for listening to the GTM AI podcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more.